Alright, so let's switch over to the gameplay. Hello. Yeah, so I took 2 days from streaming the game because, for one, I was quite tired and it was a weekend, a Sunday, and I figured I might as well take that day to do some other things which will be helpful to the whole VTubing rather than going live. And then the day after was 4th of July, so there was a lot of fireworks, and I didn't want any of that coming up on stream, even though I did want to stream yesterday. And then I took so long going live today because going live every single day made it pretty easy to kind of just keep that up for whatever reason. But since I took 2 days, my anxiety of going live came back for whatever reason. So I kind of had to work through that a little bit, which I often find the best thing for that is literally to just go live. It's typically the fastest way to deal with that, because now I feel fine. It's just working up the courage to hit the streaming button for whatever reason. Not even really sure why. I think I'm just kind of scared of making a fool of myself, really. Which is pretty ridiculous, because, I mean, I'm not really going to do anything that's going to be particularly embarrassing. I mean, worst thing I can do is, like, be bad at the game, which I don't really care if those complaints get levied against me. Like, yeah, I just died there while talking. I don't really care if someone's watching and they, you know, were to say, oh, you're so bad or something. That's not really going to affect me. But I don't know. I get a little bit shy about going live for whatever reason. I don't know. I guess because confidence doesn't really come naturally to me. It's kind of a learned skill that I've had to try to project, because it makes achieving the goals that I have easier. Yeah. Which is fine, honestly. I mean, if anyone is watching this and, you know, they don't feel particularly confident and they want to be, I can attest that kind of projecting confidence outward, even if you don't necessarily think it's true, will give you confidence. You know, some people would say that it's, you know, fake it till you make it type of situation. But it's legitimately trying to be the best version of yourself oftentimes will make that become a reality. So for me, I want to be, you know, a rather confident person whom can move people and, you know, help them become the best versions of themselves. And in order for me to do that, I need to be someone that people can rely on, and people often feel more comfortable relying on someone whom they think has it together. So oftentimes that is what I'll try to project out. Not that I hide all of my, you know, all of my struggles and all that. That's not really the purpose. I'm open and let myself be vulnerable, because that's a healthy thing to do. But perhaps I'm not going to let my shyness and anxiety, you know, control me and keep me from doing the things that I want to accomplish, or sharing my gifts that I feel that I can bring to the world, you know? I think a lot of people tend to be kind of controlled by their anxiety and the things that plague them, which, you know, not necessarily their fault. They didn't ask to be that way, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with being that way, but it can make things quite difficult. I don't know. Probably not the stream to talk about this. But this will go into the YouTube video at some point, and hopefully someone gives this a watch who needed to, you know, hear that and mull that over. And I'm sure some people will probably come across it, and it will be a bit of a bother to them because they've put on a small Castlevania Let's Play video or whatever so they can not think about things. But I don't know. Sometimes when we are least expecting to use our minds are when we are most positively influenceable. I think that's why a lot of shows and movies are capable of moving people more, along with the other huge slew of reasons why that's possible, you know, using simple narratives as a way to present complex issues and stuff like that. Letting you live in other people's shoes while letting them also be familiar and relatable. But also just the state of mind and perspective that you put yourself in when you're relaxed playing a game or watching something. It's a different state of mind than being out there in the world with your defenses up because you don't want to get hurt. But the show, the game, the movie oftentimes can't hurt us. And, you know, horror can make that a little bit blurry. Because a lot of times, you know, that's the point of horror, is to make us feel afraid and endangered almost through a relatable character sometimes, or just general dread. But yeah, I don't know. Rambling a little bit kind of comes with the territory. Since I don't have a active chat to bounce off of, I kind of need to ramble from time to time. I suppose I can talk a little bit about what I've been doing with Castlevania in the meantime, since I'm so obsessed with it. So I got my 206 map completion on my Alucard clear save. That was absolute hell. It came down to one missed room, 2 hidden walls in the catacombs, the little black splotches in the catacombs, which I had to look up how to get, which was basically to go into wolf form, hold the triangle button, and then skirt along the rocks repeatedly until it filled out the map. There were several bat locations in the sky, which I still don't understand what the issue was. I basically just flew in and out of them constantly. Not really sure if there's any rhyme or reason to what's going on with that. And the last thing was, it took me forever to notice that the staircase in the chapel in the reverse castle had not been completely filled out, because it basically made the entire shape of the staircase but not the white lines on the outside. To fill that out, I had to go into bat form and repeatedly wing smash into the walls until it filled out. I'm not sure if this is an issue with the Castlevania PAL version on PSP and the coincidental port that was used for the PS4 version, or if this is just a issue that is prominent in all versions of Symphony of the Night. But I can tell you that it was infuriating. I'm glad that it is over and that I have the trophy for 206 map completion. I don't believe I will ever do 206 map completion again. I feel that my opinion of the game kind of drops the more post-credit content I do, which is very unfortunate. I adore this game, it's wonderful, but there are some frustrating things about it. I mean, drop rates can be absolutely atrocious for some of the items that, quite frankly, make the game much more fun to have. And then there's also the issue of balance. And then they kind of ruined Maria for this version of the game. So, I don't know. I've also, I talked about how I wanted to play the PS1 version of the game, which I still do. It looks, honestly, more gorgeous than this one does. Just because, it was the style that it was designed in. A lot of the 3D images don't quite look the same on this emulated hardware, or port, I guess would be a more proper way of saying it. It's not emulated hardware, it's emulating the old hardware. I still have an interest in playing that, but I've been looking at the Saturn version a lot. And I know the Saturn version gets a lot of flack, but it has significantly more enemies. It has Maria, which is a very interesting playable version of Maria, which is arguably overpowered, but still more interesting than this version with more moves and everything. And it has an area, at least one, that's not in this version of the game, or the PS1 version of the game. I believe it's Secret Garden, or another version, or another area. I can't remember what the name was. I took a look at the area, and it actually looks like a very fun area to go through. And some of the enemies are wonderful. I would love to encounter the tree enemy that they have. It's very creepy looking, almost like a Majora's Mask enemy, really. Also, speaking of Zelda, a lot of people say that Symphony of the Night is inspired by Metroid and whatnot, but all of the developers have said that their inspiration was Legend of Zelda. I'm not sure which game they were referring to that came out around this time. I think it might have been Link to the Past. I haven't gotten to that point in the Zelda franchise. I'm on Legend of Zelda 2. I made it pretty much to the end of the game, and then I lost my save whenever my old computer broke. So, or Nintendo system broke. Yeah, I haven't beaten Legend of Zelda 2, and I kind of wanted to play them mostly in order. I do have Breath of the Wild, but I haven't been playing it. I stopped before the final boss there. I could go and beat it at any time, really. Also, apologies for the amount of, and but, and I see, and all of these little words that I kind of use to fill space. I'm still not particularly used to talking to myself. I'm hyper aware of what I'm saying and, thinking about what I'm saying, which often means that I'm not speaking at a speed that I'm particularly comfortable with. In conversation, obviously I flow a lot more naturally, but here I'm a little bit more deliberate. I also have an accent that I kind of mask because I'm not comfortable with it. I'm not, how do I say? I'm not happy with the way that my voice is naturally, so I go out of my way to speak in a way that I'm not, I wouldn't say ashamed of. I suppose I'm kind of ashamed of my natural accent. That's not to say there's anything wrong with it, it's just not the version of myself that I want to project, and so for many years I've worked very hard to speak in a way that masks those things that I don't like about my natural voice and intonation, perhaps, is a way of saying it. And, filling out my vocabulary in a way that is rather uncommon for where I'm from, but makes me a lot happier to speak that way. A lot of people have thought that it's, to try and feel superior to other people. It's really not what it's about. I just want to be someone who speaks in a polished way that can be... I don't know. I feel that when you get a larger vocabulary, you're capable of expressing things that you normally wouldn't be able to express. When you have a limited vocabulary, you have a limited space of communication to convey emotions and feelings and ideals, which I already struggle with. Due to a lot of circumstances, I didn't often have a lot of opportunities to talk to people throughout my childhood, and that kind of made things a little bit difficult to convey what I'm feeling a lot of the time, and my intentions properly. That's not to say that, I have a difficult time with people. I don't really have an antisocial behavior or anything like that. I just oftentimes will say things that I didn't exactly mean to come out a certain way. And it's been a journey over the years to really hone in on thinking about what I'm saying before I say it, and I still make mistakes, as all people do. I'm sure that even when I'm old and gray, I will still say things that I didn't mean in the way that they were received. That's just part of the human experience, for everyone, really. But I can take strides to lessen when that happens, and ensure that people aren't hurt by my words quite as much, and that I'm properly making people feel what I want them to feel, safe and cared for, because a lot of times I come off as quite cold, and people get hurt because of that, because they hear the way that you're talking and they think that you don't care. But we adapt and we learn. It probably sounds that I'm upset by that or whatnot. I'm not. I'm just speaking very clearly, really. I'm doing quite well, actually. That's part of the reason why I want to do VTubing stuff, because I have kind of already found my happiness in the world. I'm doing very well, emotionally speaking, mentally speaking. I still have room for growth, but I'm doing very well. And so, if I can create a community, a story, a place that can help other people, then that's a fulfilling mission to have. And I need fulfillment. I'm not happy just doing things for the sake of doing them, going through the motions, working, little jobs to get money to buy the things that I want, and, just living that way. I need more. I have to feel that what I'm doing is having the impact that I want it to have. And both this and my other job that I have allow me to do that. Without revealing too much to, dox myself or anything. My other job allows me to capture moments that people want to capture forever, and to create records of that. I don't know why I'm being so vague. I do video stuff, essentially. And a lot of times that allows me to help give voices to people whom otherwise might be stifled, or their talks wouldn't be able to reach as many people. And that is truly fulfilling for me. you know, as much as I enjoy photography and video and everything like that on its own as just an art, the ability to let people have a platform to talk about things that are good for the world and will, you know, help create peace and make things safer and heal parts of the world that maybe need healing, that's very fulfilling. And that's where a lot of my happiness comes from. I had already come to a happy place before getting that work, but that really was the final key in helping me find my own personal mission. I think in either Hindu or Buddhism, they refer to it as like Dharma, which is like the inner mission that you have and all that. I'm not Buddhist or Hindu myself or anything like that, but I have often found that the description of like a moral mission for oneself is pretty apt for using the word like Dharma and all that. I was collecting hearts thinking I was gonna fight Richter, kind of absent-mindedly. I don't know why that happened, really. But yeah, onto the reverse castle. I don't know, kind of nice to ramble like this. It's almost like journaling, in a way. Very few people will ever, you know, see this or anything like that, but I don't know, it makes me happy to talk about that. Probably because, you know, I don't really get to express these things to much of anyone, really. It comes up from time to time with friends and all that. We have some serious discussions here and there, but I've often heard that when you tell other people your plans, they have a way of unraveling, which I'm not particularly fond of that idea. I think you should have people in your life that you trust, that you're able to share those things with, and not be worried about them falling apart. It's kind of a superstition that is, you know, looking for trouble. You know, if you think to yourself that telling other people is going to make them unravel and create issues, you'll probably create a self-fulfilling prophecy for yourself. So, best to not have that outlook, really. But also best not to talk about things that you are unsure about. I can't tell you how many times I've maybe seen a video that, oh my, he did a lot of damage. Is he dead? Wow. Okay. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've seen a video, you know, talk about something in my youth and didn't do the proper background check to make sure that the facts are right or whatever, and then talked about it to someone. Because I like to talk, I like to share things that I view as, you know, information and all that, and I didn't make sure that all of the T's and I's and whatnot were in order. And so in my youth, came to a lot of false conclusions because I was very influenceable. And there's a lot of merit to being influenceable. Because to be influenceable is to essentially be the opposite of closed-minded a lot of times. Not always, as there are people whom are influenced and are closed-minded about that thing that they have been influenced about. But that's a little bit of a tricky situation. But it's good to be influenced, to keep an open mind, to hear things and learn things. But it's also important to have a certain amount of conviction and to be discerning. You know, you have to be able to look at things and ascertain the true nature of them to look at them from a logical perspective, to remove yourself and your own personal biases and feelings from it as much as possible, but also to make sure that they still stay in line with your values, and, you know, that they're still morally right, and all the things that really make life complicated. Not that, you know, I really ever was purveying ideas to friends or whatnot that were morally unjust. More so, I would just, you know, kind of like watch videos or something and, you know, be told about like some random trivia fact, but not look into it enough, and be like, hey guys, I heard this. And I would be essentially spreading unknown to me lies. But that's not something that I'm in the habit of doing anymore these days. I still make mistakes. The other day, some of you might have seen the video, WoW's Darkest Secret. And without spoiling it, because it's a really good video, I wouldn't want to spoil it, really. I didn't finish watching it all the way through, initially. I knew that I should, but I just so happened to need to step away for an unrelated issue to the video, and I ran into someone, and I started talking about the contents of the video before I had finished it. Oh my god, that almost one-hit me. Like, I had barely taken any damage. I'm gonna use Hydro Storm there. That's ridiculous. But yeah, I had mentioned some of the stuff in the video to someone before I had the final facts necessary at the end of the video. And so embarrassingly, I had to come back and be like, my apologies, I told you a falsehood. But, yeah. Nothing that's ever, you know, a huge deal. If something is very important, I make sure to do my research and whatnot. But I'm sure that there are still blank areas to fill out. That's the human experience. And it's fun. You know, it's complicated, but fun. Learning is a very fun experience. Being wrong is often a very fun experience. Because if you have everything right, there's nothing new to learn. You just know everything. And where do you go from there? That's part of the reason why I often enjoy losing in games. I'm not really the type of person that would typically get frustrated. Ooh, who would typically get frustrated losing in a game. It's happened, and it'll continue to happen sometimes. Typically, I'll only get frustrated if the circumstances that cause the loss feel outside of my control. That's when frustration kicks in, because it wasn't something that, you know, I felt I could do anything about. So a lot of times when I'll get frustrated losing would be in like an online multiplayer game where I see a teammate perform an action that I attribute as being a major factor in the loss. And yes, I've most certainly been overly passionate about that loss on a number of occasions. That just kind of comes with the territory of competitive games and, you know, caring about winning a lot of times. But if the loss is on me, you know, like in a fighting game or something, unless a circumstance happen where someone is like using a strategy which has been like generally deemed to be dishonorable or unfair, like spamming a for example, in the Naruto fighting games, in Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 3, Datara was considered to be a very annoying, dishonorable, spammy character that you would just throw the birds at people and it would make it nigh impossible to close the distance. It was possible, but it was very difficult to close the distance on them to an unfair extent for most of the roster. So that's something I would get frustrated about. But if I'm losing to basically any other character in that entire roster, or losing to like literally anyone in Street Fighter or whatnot, zero frustration really. Just self-reflection. You know, I might lose by an inch and be like, ah, damn, but it's not, you know, a frustrated damn. It's just like, ah, shucks, I could have got that. I dropped the ball on that one, you know. It's very important to be open to loss, especially when you want to get better at stuff, which is often a lot of times why I'm kind of skewed away from like speedruns and stuff. A lot of times when I've tried to either get interested in the speedrun community or like watch speedrun streamers, they get really angry. I mean, things can be frustrating. You know, you're running a game repeatedly, you're trying to get that perfect run and whatnot. It's gonna piss you off. Like, you're gonna see the cracks in the game. You're gonna see the issues that other people normally wouldn't be introduced to. You're gonna see things that other people aren't seeing. You're gonna experience complications that other people aren't experiencing. You know, I looked at tier lists for the weapons in Symphony of the Night, drastically different from something that I would consider a good weapon playing through the game and whatnot, because I'm doing a casual experience. It's a completely different experience with the game. Our relationship with the game is completely different. But I tend to just not really want to be around that type of vibe, you know? I absolutely adore the Kingdom Hearts games. And I've tried to watch a couple Kingdom Hearts speedruns here and there. I'm typically very knowledgeable about the Kingdom Hearts games, be it in gameplay or especially in story. So, you know, I would run into a speedrunner or whatnot, and they'd be like, oh, where do you get Pumpkin Key again, or whatnot, because they're, like, new to the speedrunning scene or whatnot. And, you know, I'll be like, oh, you get it here, and you do this, and do that, or whatever. And that's enjoyable. I very much enjoy helping people in whatever capacity, especially about something I'm passionate about, with, like, you know, Kingdom Hearts and stuff like that, or the Souls games. But I don't really want to be there whenever they mess up their run because they had a false input, or the game lagged and they get really angry and frustrated. It's just not something I want to be there for. And I suppose that might be a failing on my part, in some regards, now that I kind of think about that, because people get frustrated in my real life as well, with like technical issues and whatnot, and I have difficulty being around them when they're frustrated. So maybe that's a failing on my ability to empathize with their frustration. Or maybe it's conflict avoidance. Hadn't thought about it like that. That may be something to look into. Hopefully I can stop dying to these skeletons. Wrong save. Having a little bit of a hard time making it past their block of knives. The blade dash would be the easiest way to handle that, but I kind of have a hard time doing the blade dash input. It's basically the same input as the Hellfire input, and as anyone who might be making it in this point in like the video when it goes up, or if anyone's like lurking in the stream and you've seen previous parts, I have a really hard time with the spell inputs, so using blade dash as a solution, kinda hard. I'll try, though. That went pretty well. Yeah, like using the uppercut and then going into a blade dash, gonna be a rare scenario if I can do that. Not sure what the best way to handle this one is. Can I load those knives off screen, maybe? Yes, that works. Okay, okay. Alright, let's unload those knives. Okay. Oh, sweet, he came down here. I love it when they do that. Maybe this one will come down too? Ooh, lucky that we didn't get hit there. Oh, I forgot this is a boss. I have, like, no hearts. Let's do it anyway. Ooh, I forgot about how he rolls. Ooh, okay, my normal jump can clear it at least. Wow. Ooh, he stopped. I thought he'd keep going. Yeah, let's maybe get a couple hearts. Just because I could do it. It'd be difficult, but I don't really feel like dying over and over again of Frankenstein. Someone's gonna watch and comment, "Oh, Frankenstein is not the monster." You know that I know. However, language is a dynamic thing, and even though in the original tale, Frankenstein is not the monster's name, we call him that, and you know, it's kind of just accepted, and you're maybe not particularly clever given that fact. Not to be rude. Yeah. Frankenstein is I don't know, it's not really a very good story, to be perfectly honest. You know, it has its merits, but it's kind of one of the less interesting of the horror stories. I'm gonna go get my health back. I don't want to go through this with where am I gonna get these hearts at? Where's the best place to get these hearts? Okay, but in regards to Frankenstein, I'm not sure how popular it was just as a in written form. I'm assuming that it came from written form. I certainly never read it, but I think I've seen the original. I think it was a silent film. I know it was in black and white. I saw that when I was little. And then there are a couple other Frankenstein movies over the years, like Young Frankenstein is absolutely wonderful with Gene Wilder. It's a comedy, but I actually prefer it to the traditional story. It does some things that are a little bit, you know, deeper, more enjoyable, really. I don't know. Good movie. Sometimes comedies can be very good. I often dislike comedies. I've been told that I hate humor, which I don't believe. I don't think that's a correct assessment. I'm just not often in the mood for humorous movies. There are some humorous movies I really like. I enjoyed The Babysitter not too long ago, both 1 and 2. Those are kind of like subverted horror comedy where like the teenager group that would typically be the horror victims are instead the killers. Pretty interesting movie. Some kind of messed up implications in a lot of it, but you know, with a comedy, you're not really supposed to dig into these things too deeply, which is a lot of time an issue that I run into. It can be hard to look past flaws when you kind of lived for so long analyzing things. I probably sound like I'm a very analytical person saying that, but not necessarily. I kind of go off a feeling a lot of the time. But when it comes to like movies and stuff, I can get caught up in the micro details. I'm not like to the extreme spectrum that some people are, where, you know, they watch SpongeBob and they get angry about fire underwater. It's a cartoon about some sea creatures, so yeah, I don't really get hung up on that. But you know, I'll watch like the Marvel movies, and I'll get, you know, actively frustrated at some of like the villain plot lines that I do not agree with or like, and find it very silly that people relate to these ideas, or you know, the age-old classic of it's very popular to hold the opinion the villain was right nowadays. A lot of times the villain is not right, even if they make some valid points here and there. Very few times in a lot of movies is the villain like actually right, both morally and logistically speaking. So yeah, without naming any specifics to you know, light a fire, a lot of times that kind of thing can drive me up the wall. That's also part of the, you know, social experience, really. I wouldn't say that I'm, you know, getting piping mad in the theater watching it or whatever. It's more the discussion post-movie that's very frustrating. Because movies are typically a social experience. And talking about movies, especially in the online landscape that we live in, is a very normal thing to do, just as a means of connecting. And yeah, people could say some outrageous things that I don't think they think all the way through. You know, it's very popular to want to have a hot take, really, you know, want to have an edgy outlook. And I've been, you know, victim's not right. I've made the mistake of falling into that category in my younger years, you know, when I was about 13 or so. A lot of times, if I saw a topic that, you know, was a little bit of a hot take, or, you know, edgy, or, you know, out of the status quo, I kind of had a little bit of a inclination towards it for whatever reason. I don't know if I'd say it was necessarily a phase as much as it was a reflection of the dark outlook that I had at the time. So I kind of understand where a lot of people are coming from. And some people legitimately do agree with these points. However, regardless of how much I may respect them, that does not mean that I have to respect their opinion. There is a difference. If you think something is wrong, it's not wrong to be honest about that. especially if the opinions and ideals are ones that are important or, you know, morally charged a lot of times. There is such thing as taking it too far, of course, you know. Someone can have an opinion on a Marvel movie villain and be like, oh, you know, they were right and all that. It's not necessarily important for me to die on the hill of contesting them on those ideals. At the end of the day, neither one of our opinions on that really matters to much of anything, and also, a lot of times when people hold an opinion, especially a dark or edgy one, when push comes to shove, they don't actually execute on those feelings. I know a lot of people whom, you know, they'll make comments that are, you know, heartless, and, you know, they act like they don't care. You know, generally just very nihilistic, dislike people and all that. But when push comes to shove, when the time comes that people are in need, or, you know, just generally interacting with people, they're very polite. They're very nice people. They experience empathy. They don't act on these heartless thoughts that they have. And that's interesting. You know, a lot of times people are lying to themselves, they're lying to other people, and they don't actually know who they truly are. Not really for me to tell them who they are, but you can see from the outside when you know them well enough that maybe the things that they're saying aren't actually what's in their heart. And sometimes it actually is. Sometimes people are a lot more vile than we think they are. And, you know, they need to grow. Sometimes they'll never grow. Because they need to either have an experience that makes them want to grow, or have something inside of them that makes them want to grow from that. Apologies if me farming up these hearts is boring, but we are getting close to the corridor with the big armored dudes, and even on Alucard with very powerful gear, those guys still manage to beat me up from time to time. Excuse me while I mute just for a second, take a drink of water. Ah, much better. Everyone knows it's important to stay hydrated. I see a lot of people that have the hydration bot thing and all that, which is good fun and a good way to make sure they stay hydrated. I don't typically have an issue with staying hydrated. When I was about 16 or so, I made a very delightful friend whom always kept a water bottle with them. And ever since learning from their example, I always have a very large water bottle with me that I drink throughout the day. And I get to make my doctors very happy when they ask how much water I drink, and I can tell them that, you know, on a good day I'm hitting about 8 cups of water, which is pretty good in a lot of circumstances. I've exceeded that sometimes, I've gone under that sometimes as well. But it's pretty good all in all. Especially because, I don't know, it gets kind of dry here a lot of times. And, like, I despise having chapped lips. So a lot of times I'm wearing a lip balm and making sure to hydrate properly. Putting on moisturizers for my face and all that. Trying to take care of myself and be pretty and cute. Because I enjoy that, and I take pride in that. So those are things that I try to do to make both my mind and my body happy and healthy. I try to encourage people around me often to do these things to take care of themselves as well. which can be a bit frustrating for some people, but I mean well. I'm sure I come off as a overbearing mother or father to many of my friends when I encourage them to do such self-care activities, but I don't really care if it annoys them, if even the slightest chance that they will take some of my words to heart, which some of them have. So a couple annoyances here and there, a couple arguments, is well worth their continued health for me. I will hold that ideal to my grave. I'm something of a very idealistic person. It's kind of just who I am. But as I've indicated, I try not to let my ideals create divisions between me and other people. So even if I feel strongly about something, I don't want to shun others for feeling differently than I. Trying to look at the map here. Okay. This area is kind of rough in Reverse Castle. I have a little bit of a hard time with this. Ooh, that reminds me. I know something I do want to talk about. So, we know that the next Castlevania series is Castlevania Nocturne, and it has Richter in it. We've seen the kind of like trailer footage or whatever. Ooh, I'm almost dead. We've seen the teaser, which showed a little bit of Richter and whatnot. I really love Alucard as a character. I absolutely adore him in the Netflix series. I like him a lot here in Symphony of the Night. I think their characters are very, very similar to each other in both of these. I'm quite curious if we'll have to wait for a Season 2 or an additional series, or if we'll get to see Alucard and Richter react as they do. Oh, I thought I may be able to get in that gap and still hit him. I could have thrown a holy water down there. Damn. I want to see them interact, because I think that the Netflix series will have a really good chance of conveying how emotionally powerful it could be for Alucard to interact with and save Richter as he does in Symphony of the Night, given the fact that he was such good friends with Trevor and Sypha, and he's going to see, you know, parts of Trevor in Richter's personality. The Netflix Trevor shares some similarities with Richter in some regards. They are very different characters, but they do share similarities, which are kind of shared between most Belmonts. You know, the headstrong attitude. Richter seems very headstrong. But one thing that confuses me about Richter and his fans is he doesn't display a lot of character in Rondo of Blood. You know, he kind of is just a fighter. He seems to... Also, different versions of Rondo kind of seem to be portraying his character a little bit differently. Dracula X, the prologue, says that, like, he is burdened by his lineage, which would give the indication that he's not necessarily interested in taking up the whole Dracula slaying mantle, and that, you know, it is a burden to him. However, both this game and other translations do not make the same reference to it being like a burden or anything, which I think is the canonical idea of the character, is that he is kind of a little bit more excited to fight Dracula, even though he is doing it out of necessity to save his fiancée. I think she's his fiancée. I know Dracula X's translation refers to it as girlfriend. Damn. But yeah, I'm not really sure why Richter has so much love and fans. I liked him here in Symphony of the Night, and he was okay in Rondo, but he didn't really display a whole lot of character. people also say that he's the strongest Belmont. I'm not really sure where that's coming from. I mean, maybe... I wouldn't be surprised if they start stating that, like, in the series going forward. Like, talking about the legendary Richter Belmont or something like that. He doesn't feel or seem particularly powerful in Rondo of Blood. I mean, sure, you get the new item crash mechanic, but, like, that kind of carries forward into later entries. Blade Dash is cool, Uppercut is cool, Backflip is cool, but, like... I wouldn't say that the feats that he performed are necessarily any more impressive than that of what Simon or Trevor and them did. So, just a little bit confused on what merits him being the strongest Belmont. Could be something for me to find out later, but I'm pretty sure that this is kind of the last, you know, real entry with him being a active participant. Might be wrong about that, but Dracula comes back every 300 years, so just the fact that he managed to get 2 entries at these points in the timeline is lucky to begin with. Yeah, I don't know. Rondo doesn't particularly make me think that he's exceptionally powerful or, you know, a particularly compelling character. Love his character design in Symphony of the Night. He's very hot, and he looks hot in the Nocturne teaser as well. I'm typically not into curly-haired men. I am bi, by the way. Just making that clear. But yeah, I'm typically not so much into, like, curly-haired male characters. He has a little bit of a curl going on in Nocturne, but he's still cute. Reminds me a little bit of one of the church characters in Vanitas no Cart, or Case Study of Vanitas, which is probably my favorite anime ever, at the moment at least. No spoils, please. I've seen season 1 and 2. I'm holding off on the manga because I really love the full experience of getting both the use of color in the production as well as music and voice acting. I just typically find it much more enjoyable than reading manga, but I have read portions of the manga as well, and it is gorgeous. The author for that is so very talented, and her work on Pandora Hearts as well is a obvious inspiration. I had already planned to do what I was doing with Soren before I ever got interested in Soren Hearts, or in Pandora Hearts, but absolute inspiration material for, you know, kind of maybe fleshing out Soren's character later. I'm actually not a huge fan of Alice in Wonderland. I liked it growing up a little bit, and I kind of got obsessed with it for a little while, because I at a very young age got obsessed with the concept of insanity, and just general things to do with madness. And Alice in Wonderland fit right into that, because as I've learned over the years, it is intentional madness. You know, it's completely nonsensical. The original story is not supposed to make sense or have much of a deeper meaning. You know, it was written explicitly to just kind of be of joy to a little girl. That seems to be the original intention from Steve Carroll. Is just nonsensical fun, and you know, trying to make more of it from that is a little bit misguided. However, the inspirations with Alice in Wonderland for other materials, such as Pandora Hearts, anything that maybe I do in the future with this character, or I plan to read Are You Alice at some point. I've heard that it's very good. I really need the blade dash there. I'm having a hard time doing the input. I might have to, I don't know what to do if I I made it through before. I want to get a save point past these skeletons so I don't have to do it again. Because we already made it through once, and then I farmed out the hearts, and then I died anyway. What was I saying now? Oh yeah, when you're making a brand new story that's taking inspiration from Alice in Wonderland and all that, completely different ballpark, but like doing like an iteration of Alice in Wonderland, like a direct representation of it, it's a little odd to try to assign meaning to it if you're going for accuracy, which often is not what people are going for. But that's always a topic of discussion, because very, very little times do creative inclined people, such as like directors and whatnot, want to just tell a story as it is on the pages. One of the rare times is like the Lord of the Rings movies. I'm pretty sure that, gosh, what's his name? I want to say Percy Jackson. I can't remember what the director's name is. But I'm pretty sure that he was mostly interested in just conveying that story as it is in the book. That's a very rare case scenario. People very often, they want to take inspirations from the source material while also doing their own thing. Take, for example, the wonderful Netflix series of Castlevania. Very many differences. Alucard's character stays mostly the same from the Castlevania games. Trevor gets a brand new character. I mean, we got very little indication of what his character was like in Castlevania 3, but it seems that he was, very devout, and that is not at all the Trevor we get in the Netflix series. Sypha doesn't have a huge amount of character really portrayed in the video game, whereas she is a huge amount of character in the show and is wonderful. What a delightful character. I adore Sypha. Sypha's like everything I wanted from Korra in Legend of Korra, but I actually like Sypha. Sorry, I'm great apologies to anyone who is very passionate about Legend of Korra or something. I'm just not personally a fan. But yeah, Sypha's fantastic. Alucard's mostly the same and wonderful. I really need some. I need some hearts. Can I? Man, I have a real hard time blood dashing. Oh no. Okay. But yeah, that's a classic example of taking the source material and making something new out of it. In that case, it's filling in blanks that weren't there. The Christopher Nolan Batman movies, for example, hugely different than a lot of Batman comic material. Extremely different. But a compelling story, which managed to touch a lot of people, and it did what all art sets out to do, which is to convey a message and to make people feel something. And kind of hard to ask for more a lot of times. A little bit more accuracy in things that are beloved is typically appreciated. Just for example, I really dislike Captain America Civil War. I mean, I have very negative opinions of that movie. A lot of people love it. I greatly dislike it, but I was a huge fan of the Civil War comic run that they did in Marvel, and so it was very frustrating to see that version of it, which is not at all satisfying for me. I felt completely baited by the fact that what felt to me, they were using the title of a beloved, well-written comic run as a means to sell tickets rather than it actually being relevant to the... oh, please don't get me, Mr. Shmoo. He did. Rather than it actually being a accurate representation of anything in that comic. it's kind of a civil dispute in the movie. I think some people have put it that way. But yeah, that's an example. As someone who is creative and works with film stuff and all that, I can understand not wanting to follow the source material. I can't say that I would be particularly too interested to, make a direct video adaptation of a source material that exists. I think one of the only things that I would ever kind of be interested in doing something for that is like the Guilty Crown novel Princess of Deadpool, or the visual novel Guilty Crown Lost Christmas are kind of things that I would like to see like anime adaptations of. But those are very rare case scenarios where it's like I'm a super fan of this thing and it's like not very popular in the sense that like you don't really see a whole lot of Guilty Crown fans just kind of out here in the streets, you know. More often than not, you'll see people that hate it, or another breed of people is they're like, oh, I enjoyed watching it, but it's hot garbage, where like I actually think it's very good. Has some issues, but damn, it's really good in my opinion. I would really like the blade dash. There we go. I'm gonna focus just a little on getting us through this. In fact, I might look at a map just to see what our nearest safe point is. My voice dropped a couple of decibels there. I really am trying to find a sweet spot for my voice. Hang on, let me just check a map real quick. I'm tired of doing this corridor over and over again. Okay, let's see here. Sorry, that probably was unpleasant on the mic. I have a pop filter, so hopefully that stopped it mostly. Okay. If we go past Doppelganger, that'll lead us where we want to go. Trying to figure out in relation where exactly we are here. I'm looking at a map of the regular castle. Let me look at the reverse castle. So that's the portal. Then this leads to the library, doesn't it? Is this the library? Let's see here. That's the library. Okay. We're close then. We're very close to a save point. Please don't kill me. Oh. I messed up the first uppercut input. I knew I should go back down and reset his knives, but I was impatient. Yeah, like that's an example of like how I approach games a lot of times. Is stuff like that, you know. I look at what went wrong. I try to look at what went wrong, what I could have done better and all that. It's not really an active thing. It just kind of is how I think. I don't really have to try to do that or anything. That comes from when I was little. Wee little lad playing Kingdom Hearts. I encountered the Phantom in front of the clock tower in the Peter Pan world. I thought it was a mandatory story boss. I had no idea that it was optional. I was very young, and I was getting mercilessly beaten by him, and I got very frustrated, and yelled at the people around me, particularly my mother at the time, and it was very upsetting to people. And, you know, I learned the lesson that, you know, if the game is, you know, making you angry, you should probably step away from the game. You should probably walk away, cool off, and reapproach it with a different mindset, because the game is meant to be a interactive, you know, fun experience most of the time, and you being angry at the game is not the way that it was intended to be played, and it's not an enjoyable way for it to be played. It's not a pleasant experience overall, and that kind of stuck with me, you know. I still struggled with it for a little while, but as I progressed in age and wisdom, and learned more lessons, it just became a little bit easier to handle. Not in regards to you know, having a particularly dumb teammate in a online game or something, though. Still get riled up about that. Not that I'll, like, you know, flame someone in you know, general chat or whatever, but like, if I'm hanging out with like a friend, for example, there's one friend who I've played League with, and I'll give him a hard time about some of the stuff he does, but like, we also kind of have a relationship in which it's very normal to give him flack, because he does a lot of things that need to be called out often. So it just kind of extends to the game for me. But yeah. Interesting experience. I don't really get tilted by League, per se. There's frustrating things in it, you know, like going up against, like, who is it, Teemo, and his mushrooms and all that. Absolutely infuriating. What a unpleasant experience. I mean, truly, what a way to not have fun playing the game. But, you know, a lot of times I die in the game because I made a mistake. It was my fault. There's no one to be mad at but myself. It's not the game's fault. It's not my teammate's fault. I didn't know a thing, or I did a thing wrong, and I died. Like there. I was just stubborn about uppercutting into those bones repeatedly and thinking that I was going to get a different result. I don't know how much I'll leave of this in the video, of like me just dying to this repeatedly. Might just leave it all. I mean, I think the idea is, because it's going to be like a really long video, if my computer can like process to have it all in one video, then that's what I'll do. I don't think my computer's going to be able to handle the timeline in Adobe Premiere, though. So I'll probably have to do it in a couple parts, even though I'd like to just do it in one long video. But, I don't know, I might leave this part in. I might cut it out. I haven't really decided yet. Watching me die repeatedly is not very entertaining, but, you know, I think if someone's watching a video this long, especially with how unpopular watching stream VODs is, and how I have, like, no known viewers and whatnot, someone's probably put this on to relax to, and just kind of have in the background. You know, maybe they're a fan of Symphony of the Night, and they probably aren't looking for the most riveting gameplay experience, or they would be watching like a speedrun or something, so I think it's probably fine to just go ahead and leave it in. Oh my. Whoa. That was something. There were 3 of them there. But, yeah, I can probably just leave it in. I don't think it'll be an issue. I was talking about my voice going lower there. I'm not really trying to do like an anime voice or anything for my character. It's more so just like, I don't think that my natural voice really suits my face when I'm like this. Like, I just kind of would like to speak in a way that fits a little bit better. Have no issue sharing my traditional voice or anything, but oh no, I don't want to fight him. Yeah, I have no issue sharing my ooh, please don't. Oh, you did. Oh, I am a fool. That was Alucard. I could have hit it at an angle, but I wasn't Alucard. But yeah, kind of still trying to find my own voice. Due to circumstances, I kind of lived in a scenario in which I don't know. I didn't speak very often. Well, that's not necessarily true. I kind of managed the way that I spoke, the volume that I spoke at, in a way that has made it difficult for me to do certain things, like singing. Singing is very difficult for me because I never sang. Singing was very rare for me to do, and I never spoke at my true volume of my voice, and to sing you kind of need to could not get that input out. You kind of need to be able to sing at a certain volume, and I'm never comfortable doing that, and I don't think I will be comfortable doing that so long as my current living arrangement is the way that it is. Should that change, and should I find my voice and my ability to speak at different volume, I would love to sing and do stuff. I've done all kinds of like rhythm tests to like see if I'm like tone deaf or anything like that, because I struggle at rhythm games. I am not tone deaf. I can discern tone rather well, actually. I just have a very hard time at rhythm games for whatever reason. And then I have some like other like related difficulties with like syllables, and like poetry was something that I had a really hard time with. I wasn't really able to compose rhymes very well. Like, I would never be able to like make a rap song ever. I cannot rhyme worth a damn. Blade dash is really the answer here. If I can just... Okay, no, we're gonna unload his knives. Okay. Alright, he's not a problem anymore. I hate that this uppercut is at an angle. I absolutely despise that this uppercut is at an angle. I'm going to be completely transparent. I do not enjoy Richter's moveset. It was kind of fun at first, being able to use the whip again. This game was not designed with Richter in mind, and I don't particularly love it. Still cool to use the whip again. Love that. Glad that he's a character. Ooh, please don't hit me. Please don't hit me. Okay. We're okay. We're not okay. Okay, so... what's the game plan? Like, I have to do an uppercut, and then I need to blade dash through that. because otherwise that knife is going to hit me. And I'm not confident that I can pull that off, but I walked into the skull. Well, that's the first time I've actually died to the skulls. This is very difficult for me. I don't know how I got through it. I got through it really quickly that one time. And now I'm just stuck here. I would love to just go around and, like, not do this part. Like, I would go through the chapel, but I couldn't get through that little, opening. Like, over there at the, bottom right, by the elevator and all that. Couldn't do it. Couldn't get through it. Wouldn't go through, so, I think this is the way that we have to go. And I just have to get good. That brings up a discussion. I mentioned a couple times that I'm a very big fan of the Souls games. Ooh. They're still throwing knives. Okay. Yeah, I've mentioned I'm a very big fan of the Souls games. I don't think a lot of people quite realize what get good means. When Elden Ring came out, a lot of people started saying that the Souls game community is, like, you know, very gatekeepy and toxic or whatever, and, you know, they would use get good as an example of this. The Souls community that I know, that I've experienced pre-Elden Ring and all that, are some of the most delightful, welcoming people. I mean, I tell you what, I'm half tempted to go through this whole library just to get the save point, but I think running past the schmooze and the scarecrows would result in just death anyway. They're some of the most nice, welcoming people. I mean, you got the Sun Bros, you got please don't hit me. Please don't hit me. Damn. Okay. You got the Sun Bros, you got all the lore masters and all that, and then, like, get good is like, comes from, like, two different things. Like, one, also get good originates in from Metal Gear Solid 4 multiplayer, from what I've heard. But it really was more so a kind of encouragement to, like, get better at the game, because, like, there's really no way forward in a lot of the games without just simply getting better at the game. I mean, you either get better or you give up, and, you know, getting better at the game is the better of those two outcomes, if you would find enjoyment from doing so, which most people would. That's kind of why we like the Souls games, is because they present a experience where the result of persevering is rewarding. You know, it's a very satisfying experience to overcome something that at one point was really. I took so much damage because he wow. I took so much damage because he touched me. And then that happened. That's kind of one of the things that I'm kind of glad has left retro games. At no point have I ever enjoyed the kind of enemies are venomous to the touch type of deal. I'm not really sure where that came from. Like, I don't know why we all did this for retro games. Crash Bandicoot has it. Jak and Daxter has it. Castlevania has it. You know, some enemies, it makes sense you wouldn't be able to touch them. You would get damage doing so. But I don't understand why, like, touching the skeleton hurts me, or, like, 90% of these enemies. I'm kind of glad that that trend died out. I miss a lot of things, like little save point trickeries I miss in games. I miss health packs in a lot of games. You know, a lot of old practices that have kind of become more uncommon. I miss in games, but enemies being venomous to the touch, not something I miss at all. Not even remotely. But that's just how the game is played. Yeah, if I would just get better at the inputs, you know, get better at this path, we'll get through it. I'm gonna talk a little bit less, focus a little bit more, because we've really been here too long. I really want to do a blade dash there. Oh, good God. Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. We're doing good. We still took some damage that was unnecessary, but we're doing good. Okay. I hate those knives so much. I hate how they linger. The sound effect's kind of funny, though. Okay. There was a health upgrade around here somewhere. I remember that being a thing. I think it's this one here. I would love to be able to blade dash into that, but I cannot do the input for the life of me. Okay, so I think this is the way. That might be a problem. Not a problem. I'm surprised that one even reached. I have to wonder if someone has come to the stream and like seen me ranting and just kind of dipped out. I imagine that probably has happened. But okay. I imagine that has happened, but it's better for someone to come to the stream and see that like I'm vocal and to like get a feel for my personality and all that than to come into a completely silent stream. I would rather seem like a madman just talking to myself than like sitting here completely quietly, just hoping that like someone will strike up a conversation with me. But hopefully they do, because believe it or not, I do actually prefer talking to someone who is there than like rambling to myself. I'm not in the habit of talking to myself. I do it specifically for these reasons. It is very unnatural to me to just kind of talk to myself. A lot of these are just kind of like my thought process, though. My thought process is a little bit more chaotic than this, but this is kind of how I think while I'm doing like literally everything. Like debating back and forth all kinds of like different concepts or moralities and stuff. That's just how I am. My mind works in that way. I very often have a back and forth with myself. I don't have like any kind of like, you know, multiple personality or anything like that, but like very often, you know, I'm bouncing off of myself in a way that like I'll have ideas or concepts, whether it be like just as simple as like a game strategy or something, and then a little part of me that plays devil's advocate to help weed out any of the imperfections in the idea, or you know, debate morality to see if I'm in the wrong, which is incredibly helpful and healthy, I think. I mean, I've mentioned it to therapists before, and it seems to be, you know, quite well received. There's no real issue with that or anything. But I find it to be quite a helpful way to, you know, get to the root of things. I swear I'm not making puns based off of these thornweeds, though I would not be surprised if they're influencing the verbiage that I'm using, just kind of subconsciously. I honestly thought we'd be done by now. You know, an hour, 30 minutes in. I didn't think this playthrough was going to last that long. But here we are. I think we can go straight to Shaft once we get past the armors. I don't think there's anything in our way of doing that. The armors are certainly going to be an issue. But once we managed to get into that center clock room, we got the items, we got the hearts, and I think we should be able to take Shaft down relatively simply. As long as I, you know, use Hydro Storm, get a couple whips off and all that, I think he'll die before he really takes me down with the Electro Orbs. I also have been told that Richter gets iframes. That means invulnerability frames for the those not in the know. So I think I can kind of invulnerability frames through the electric orbs, unlike with Maria, where she has like no iframes at all. Whoops. I've heard Richter has a dive kick. I've yet to see it myself. Also, don't worry about the health we're losing, because we're going to go back to the save point once we get the hearts that we want. I just want to make sure that I have the hearts for those armors, because, gosh, they're really hard for me to handle. Yeah, someone probably will come across this video one day, put it on, and listen to it in bed to relax something. That's what I do with really long Let's Play videos. For me, I really like to put on Resident Evil videos to go to sleep. I don't know what it is about Resident Evil. Not all of the Resident Evil games. Like, I'm not going to put on Resident Evil 5 and go to sleep to that. But, like, all the way up till 4, all those games, what wonderful things to have on in the background to go to sleep to. I don't know what it is about them, but there's just something so calming about them for me. It really shouldn't be. I mean, they're survival horror, and like they're kind of creepy in a lot of ways, but I don't know. I think it's like at some point in time, I conditioned myself to be... how can I say this in a way that's not like edgy? I don't know, I conditioned myself to be comfortable in like creepy environments for the most part. Did a lot of mental gymnastics to make that a thing when I was younger, because I really disliked being afraid. So I don't know, there's kind of an element of safety in the simplicity of it all. In like the, I don't know, the dark. It really is. It's gonna sound edgy to someone. They're gonna hear this and think that I'm portraying a false narrative to seem special or something. I'm really... relaxing for me, and I'm grasping at straws to know why. But yeah, I'll probably end up doing some Resident Evil videos on the channel. Videos, streams, whatever, content. I'll probably end up doing some at some point. I haven't played through Resident Evil 1 myself. I own the HD remaster on PS4 that's like based off the GameCube port. I've watched it a ton, but I would love to play through it myself. So I'll probably do that. I own Resident Evil 0. I haven't watched a playthrough of that. I know that it has a lot of issues and it can be really frustrating. I'm not too keen of the idea of dropping items on the floor and whatnot. But it seems more interesting to me to play that than a lot of the later entries. I like Resident Evil 2 Remake a lot, but I've watched it so much that I don't really have any interest in playing it. I'd do it if people really wanted to watch it or something, but I don't really have a whole lot of interest. I have more interest in playing the original than I do the remake, just because of like the vibe that it's got going on. Like Resident Evil 2 Remake is like kind of almost objectively speaking, it's still subjective, but like almost objectively speaking, a better version of the game than the original. It improves on basically every aspect of it. But it's not really a chill game. Like that's an experience that you have. Like that is a true survival horror experience, which is a damn good thing. It's just not really something that I particularly want to stream because I've already had that experience vicariously, but I've already had the experience. And then Resident Evil 3 Remake, very sadly, I do not like as much as the original. I love Nemesis. Nemesis is like one of my favorite things in Resident Evil. I don't know what it is about Nemesis. That's a lie. I know what it is about Nemesis. I love the kind of like this is gonna sound like I have a kink. It's not a kink. The hunter predator thing that's going on with Nemesis. The whole him hunting Jill and like the suspense that is added to this constant threat that's after you. It's that same vibe that the original Alien has, which is an incredible movie. It's the same vibe that Alien Isolation has. It's such a it's what Mr. X brings. It's wonderful, you know. It adds such a dimension to gameplay, having this suspenseful force that's after you. Like, I would love if in the Castlevania games or something, there was a mechanic in which maybe if you abused a type of power-up or something, there was like a chance that like death would show up and like chase you through the rooms or whatnot, or some other type of entity. I just think death would be the most fitting one. I would love that. That would be so cool to have this entity that is like actually moving about the castle as like an anonymous, autonomous being that is like hunting you. That's so cool. I love that. I don't know why I'm drawn to it particularly. It's not a fetish thing. Like this is not a fetish. But it's really cool to me. It's such a interesting concept. I think because it's primal, you know? Like, it's really easy to understand the fear of a predator coming after you. You know, that's ingrained into you evolutionarily. Like your DNA carries that concept of predator and prey. So I think that's probably. Please don't hit me. Please don't hit me. I hate you. I hate you so much. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. It's really easy to ooh. It's really easy to understand that concept. And it's really easy to create tension and fear around that concept. Like my favorite thing in Dead by Daylight is that horrific feeling when the killer is like right on your feet, like inches behind you, and you know, you're running, you go for the window and all that, and like you're vaulting through, and then the hit just barely misses, and you get that feeling like it's in like the bottom of your feet. It's similar to like being near like a high ledge or something. It's that impending danger. Like you tighten your body up, you wince up. That feeling of like, that's the kind of horror that like I really like. Jump scares and stuff like that, you know, whatever, they're okay. I don't particularly despise them, but they're, you know, kind of cheap. But the feeling that it's like, at any moment, the mistake that you make can result in doom, and you're trying so very hard to avoid that. That's a cool feeling. That's like interesting to play with creatively and like to experience. I think that also might come from when I was little playing games, actually, because getting really low on health in like a boss fight that you've been on for hours, you know, the feeling that I would get from being low on health and finally persevering on a boss when I was little, nothing made my heart beat quite as fast, you know. I got to feel truly alive. You know, I got to feel fulfilled from winning that fight just barely. Oh jeez, oh jeez, oh jeez, oh jeez. Okay, okay. Let's not get hit by that. I'm tempted to use Hydro Storm on this dude. Where'd he go? Come here. Come here. Please. I'm begging you. Okay, I got an idea. Sick. I did a thumbs up. My model can't do that, but I did a thumbs up. That probably also is kind of related to, like, primal stuff or whatever. Like, you know, we kind of had a barbaric nature for a long time, so, like, the thrill of battle, like, stimulating, not stimulating, like, simulating a real battle, that's kind of something that's, like, innately of interest to us, I think. I'm a bit of a pacifist, really, but there's no denying that, like, that's a part of me. That's one of the... Ooh, please don't hit... God. That's one of the things I like about Xenos in Final Fantasy XIV, is he kind of forces you to confront that concept, you know, that part of you. Like, so my interpretation of the Warrior of Light, and the one that, like, I view as, like, canonical for 14, is that, like, the Warrior of Light is a paragon. You know, they're a symbol of hope and, you know, a real weapon against the darkness, which is all the things that I want to be. You know, that's what I want Soren to be, and all that. That's a wonderful thing. But no matter how much you embody these ideals, no matter how far you get from that, sometimes, for some people, this isn't true for everyone, but it is for me, and I think for a lot of people, there will always be a part of you that is barbaric. You know, there'll always be a part of you that is not necessarily violent, but, like, you know, hungers for maybe conflict. I don't know. There's a gorilla brain, you know? Like, there's that lizard brain in you. It's that part of you that, like, when you get angry, dumb things that you don't mean. You do stuff that you don't mean because, like, your frontal cortex or whatever gets, like, shut down, and, you know, lizard brain takes over because, like, your body is perceiving that there is a threat. For most people, that will always be a part of them, and it's something that you navigate, and you don't let it control you. Xenos is someone whom lives in that state. Like, he lives for the hunt, he lives for that thrill of battle and all that. Like, that's his whole deal, is he seeks that kind of just base pleasure or whatever, regardless of, like, the meaning that he might assign to it and all that. That's kind of what it is. So, you know, the battle against that, and the battle to be better, to, you know, connect people and overcome these, like, violent tendencies and, like, the whole lizard brain and all that, that's compelling to me. Xenos has, you know, issues from a story perspective in a lot of ways, but that is a compelling struggle. You know, the other major theme in Final Fantasy and Walker is, like, the battle against, like, despair itself. So it's like, which is also, you know, a very human experience. You battle despair, you battle nihilism, you know, you find meaning in the suffering. These are very important lessons and questions, and philosophers have gone back on this constantly. They are wonderfully compelling things to explore, and they are things that I have great interest in, and one day, when I get to tell stories of my own, when I get to, you know, leave my mark on the world and my messages, I hope to make something that speaks to these types of topics. I can't believe that hit me. Not necessarily the base instinct one. That's probably not one that I particularly have an interest in tackling. I just thought it was interesting in Xenos. But the despair and all that, that's interesting. Good lord. Because, like, for those whom have complex thought, I knew that was going to happen. I did it anyway. For those that you know, really dive in complex thought and all that, nihilism is you know, a trapdoor that you'll find yourself in a lot of times, especially, like, if you suffer from, like, depression and stuff like that. Nihilism becomes something that is just, like, this creeping idea that finds a way to, like, slink into every crevice of thought. It's so much easier to approach the world's issues, see how complicated they are, and for the brain to decide, wow, that's really complicated, that's difficult to deal with. None of it matters. Let's just pretend that none of it matters and move forward with that. And there's varying levels of nihilism. You know, there's an element of nihilism which is freeing, and then there's, like, true nihilism, like to the full end of the spectrum, which very few true nihilists exist. Like, those are the people who, like, you know, actually think that, like, all existence needs to end and all of that, and that's very rare. But nihilism is dangerous. You know, it's like a fire, and, you know, healthy amounts of it can be useful, but if you don't control it, if you don't exercise an element of wisdom with it, it will consume you. So that's why I often find explorations of nihilism to be very interesting. But if they're poorly written, it can be some of the worst writing. Danganronpa plays with despair and hope a lot in a very whimsical way that I have a very difficult time enjoying. I love Danganronpa as like a detective type of situation to like investigate, but every time Danganronpa talks about like hope and despair, I give it the most chance that I can, but I do not like the dialogue or much of the writing for that kind of stuff. I don't think it's particularly well done. I know a lot of people love Danganronpa. Some of my closest friends are very, very big fans of it, and it doesn't bother them, or they do like it. I'm just not. It's not for me. It's not my cup of tea. Okay. Damn, I hate these little thingies. Like, these were frustrating on Alucard, the little feet stompers, but here, oh god. I have to do like so many inputs there. I gotta uppercut, then I need to whip, and then I need to like uppercut again to like not get hit in the feet. And I have a hard enough time just executing the one uppercut. My mic says I reached orange. Sorry if I peaked a little too much. I've been told that I was too quiet, so like I think I overcompensated. I'll figure out audio at some point. I have a really nice Elgato Wave 3 microphone that I like a lot, but I had to delete the software that I mainly bought it for the software that like lets me control stream audio and all that, but it kept crashing. Even during my first Castlevania stream, it created a bunch of issues, and I couldn't get to the bottom of what it was. I think I'll talk to support one day, but like the simplest solution for me right now is to just have it uninstalled. Once the stream gets more polished and like, you know, I have more to manage, and you know, I got like transitions and like audio tracks and like, you know, all these little like musics and notification sounds and everything, then it'll be time to like address that. But right now I just have my voice and the game audio, so I can kind of just manage that in OBS. I also just took all of the audio, what do you call them? VSTs. All the audio VSTs that I had in the Elgato Wave software, I just put in OBS. So that's like audio compression and EQ and all these little like things that help clean up the voice. I just moved them to OBS. I'm trying to get really good with them. I want audio to be like a big thing. Because like I think audio is a lot more important than video. Being able to have my stream or my videos on and them to be satisfying on the ears is so much more important than on the eyes. On the eyes is important, it is, but being pleasant on the ears is a little bit more important for most individuals, including myself. And I want to make content that, you know, I would enjoy myself, because that's the easiest way for me to gauge what is good. So that's kind of the direction I'm moving in. It's also coincidentally the area which is most frustrating for me technically, and that I'm least educated on. So that creates all kinds of issues. My inspiration for audio, in terms of like being a VTuber, is like Hololive Crony. Good God, I don't know what she does. It could just be that her voice is fantastic, and I mean her voice is beautiful, and she clearly has experience in like the field of both like musically and like specifically like voice acting. She clearly has experience in that regard. Like she's very easily able to control her voice in a way that is directed. I have zero training or experience with that and all that. I would love to. But like she's also very clearly done like really good like compression and EQ and all that. I can't believe I got hit by that block of knife. She's clearly done a lot of like really good work to the microphone, and I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna Hydro Storm this dude. Absolutely worth it. I don't even care. But yeah, she's clearly very talented, and people took notice of that like almost immediately when she debuted. I'll never be able to do anything quite like that, because I don't have the voice or the training for that. Yeah, like another example of like a voice that took people by storm is like Vox Akuma. God, what a gorgeous voice that man has. But I don't have that kind of voice either. Like, I've met people who really like my voice and, you know, have told me that, like, it's very handsome and stuff like that. But it's nothing like that. And the people who like my voice a lot are very few and far between. And both of these individuals whom I'm referencing, both Fox and, like, Crony and them, clearly display, you know, not only experience, but, like, talent in being able to do that, and that's just not a talent that I have discovered, developed, or naturally have. But maybe one day. I would love to be able to, you know, project my voice in a way that is easy on the ears, compelling, and delightful. That's a real goal. Hopefully I find it one day. I kind of have a little bit of an interest in doing ASMR. I don't listen to ASMR really. You know, I'll listen to a couple sleep stories and stuff like that to go to bed. I love like Stephen Fry's Blue Gold about like the lavender fields that like Calm has. But I don't really do ASMR, you know, I find it a little bit odd for me personally, you know, the whole like girlfriend snuggles up to you in bed ASMR and all that. I just don't really relate to enjoying that type of experience. It's often off-putting for me. You know, I don't get like the ear tingles that people describe and all that. You know, I can hear things and be like, "Ooh, that sounds really nice," but I don't experience the ear tingles or the fascination with auditory triggers. So it's a little bit difficult, I think, to kind of understand that world when you don't experience it the way that the people whom would be enjoying it would be. And then also, to be perfectly honest, I am absolutely scared as hell of the way that like ASMR people are not only treated on the internet, but also the way that algorithms treat them. You can't be serious if it actually try to give me the Bible. I don't want that. But yeah, it's like YouTube has been, you know, banning ASMR channels and demonetizing them and whatnot, even when they don't do lewd content. So, you know, I'm already starting with the chips down, kind of. You know, I got quite a few things going against me in a lot of ways. I got a lot of things going for me too, but I got quite a few things going against me, and you know, getting into a field where it's you know, the world is harder on you is a little bit daunting. So I'll probably hold off for quite a while to explore that interest at all. I don't know though. It's I think it would be cool to do ASMR stuff and do it my own way. Look, I like the ones that like do a very specific like storyline, or they're specifically reading a story and stuff like that. I like that kind of stuff. I wouldn't want to really. Whoa. Okay. That's the game. I thought that we would need to do a little bit more damage than that. I also thought that maybe I would die a couple times. The real question is Richter just going to walk away the way that Maria does in her ending? Or is there actually going to be something here? That's what I'm wondering. Kind of sad that this is going to be the end of our Symphony of Night content for a little while. Because, I mean, I'm not going to go straight into playing another version of the game. Our next game is Castlevania Legends. I don't know how that's going to go for a stream because it's a Game Boy title. I'm going to see what I can do to get that running and see how good it is. I might end up playing it on my own. Yeah, he doesn't say anything. You can barely call that an ending. I mean, I know the Richter and Maria routes are non-canon, but I think a little bit more might have been good. But yeah, we have Castlevania Legends and Castlevania 64. And I have some issues to work through, technically speaking, to get those on the channel. Really want to play them, but we might have to do some other games in the meantime of trying to set that up. I do have Hollow Knight, which I've been looking at, and I've never played it. I know people are very passionate about Hollow Knight. I think it'd be a really good place to pick up some viewers that might be interested in checking out the channel. But the only issue with me checking out Hollow Knight is because it's a Metroidvania. I would kind of like to maybe proceed through... Oh, sorry, it's quite late. I would kind of like to proceed through some of the other Metroidvania titles that are older before going to something that is newer, because I think that it might be a little bit harder to go back once I've moved forward. I don't know, maybe that's not the case at all, but Hollow Knight's an option, and there's a couple other options. I really want to go through every single Final Fantasy game before 16 comes out. I know Mr. Happy is doing a Final Fantasy count up, where he's going through every game, and he's done that before and all that. So I think that if I were to do that around the same time he's doing it, that would, create issues in the sense that if anyone is going to watch that, they would definitely go watch him. They're not going to come and watch me. I don't bring anything to the table that, he wouldn't do better, really. But at some point in time, I would love to do a count-up style thing where I go through every game. I have played Final Fantasy 1, I've played 7, I've played a lot of different titles. It's been an incredibly long time since I've played 7 and some of the other ones, so replaying them would be practically a brand new experience. But not really sure when I'll get around to that. I really want to do that before 11's service gets in danger of shutting down, because I want to play through and experience 11 before something ever happens to it. In a recent interview, they kind of indicated that they won't let the story just go away, but I still have concerns and worries because Final Fantasy Mobius, for example, it's gone. You can't play it. There's no way to play the story anymore. It's just gone. So, kind of have a little bit of FOMO about, losing a beloved story. Back to topic of Castlevania. This ending song is, it's wonderful and all. They made it new for Requiem, I found out. I think I'm the only individual that I've certainly the only individual I've seen on the internet looking around that actually unironically likes I Am the Wind, which is the original song that plays at the end of Symphony of the Night. I've seen a lot of people and channels that I respect that really hate on I Am the Wind at the end of Symphony of the Night, and like say that it is like completely out of the whole theme for the game and everything. I must disagree. A lot of tracks for this game are very, jazzy, and like jazz is a huge inspiration here, rock is an inspiration, and then lyrically speaking, the lyrics match Alucard's character very, very well. They really tell a story that is quite suited to Alucard. So I really don't see it as out of character. I mean, the game kind of, like, the true ending ends in a way that, like, almost gives thought to the concept of perhaps Maria and Alucard being a little bit more than friends, and, like, it's kind of, a little bit of a love songy song. It's not really about love, but, it leaves you with a vibe that is hopeful and beautiful, and the singer, Cynthia, I can't remember what her last name is. Her first name's Cynthia, but she did a lot of Metal Gear songs as well, and she is stunning. I absolutely love black female vocals. They're often breathtaking. Nier Automata has, a fantastic, the English version of Weight of the World is sung by a black female singer, and her voice is so beautiful. There's really something special about that, and I really like that with I Am the Wind as well. It's really good in my opinion. I think it's fantastic. But yeah, she also did like the Snake Eater song for Metal Gear Solid 3, which is another just absolute banger. But yeah, I mean, that's all I really have to say. Unfortunately, I think we don't really have more to do with Symphony of the Night. Axe Lord is the thing. I'm not even sure if you could beat the game that way. I don't think watching me get my platinum trophy would be particularly interesting. I mean, I just have to, like, pick up a couple of, like, sit in the chair to have the fairy sing, and, a couple other little things. So, like, that's not something I'm gonna stream. From the luck run I've been doing on mobile, it's very easy for me to tell doing a luck run is not going to be in any way interesting to watch, more so than just the regular playthrough. It doesn't particularly make the game much harder. It's a little bit harder, but not particularly much harder, because equipment really just compensates for literally any type of stat issue that you would have. And if I'm doing a luck run, I'm gonna want to grind for certain items, and I can't imagine wanting to watch me grind on this game. So, I think without further ado, I think I should say, this game, I think I'll give this game like a either a 9 out of 10 or like a 9.5. I would love to give it a 10 out of 10. Unfortunately, there's a couple issues which are a little too glaring to me with certain parts of the game to, like, fully say 10 out of 10, because, like, 10 out of 10 kind of indicates, like, an almost perfect game. There's just a little too many issues that I have with the game to give it 10. It is absolutely breathtaking, though. I mean, it is an incredible game. The impact that this game had on the industry is, uncalculable. A lot of my favorite games that ever came out are directly inspired by this game. It's fantastic, and I greatly look forward to seeing how Castlevania continues forward with this concept as we move through the rest of the games. Do I like it more than Castlevania 4? I don't know. I really don't, because Castlevania 4 is kind of prettier in a lot of ways, and the levels are, like, a little bit more artistically moving for me in a lot of ways. However, Symphony of the Night has, like, a true story that's like really good. I don't mean true in the sense of it happened, but like it has like a real storyline here that like is super compelling. Like Alucard is a extremely compelling character. The lines are cutting between him and Dracula. Seeing him, deal with the stuff about Lisa and whatnot. There's not a lot of story here, but there is a story, and it's a very good story. It's a very compelling story. It's the only thing that's good in Castlevania Season 2. I'm so sorry to people who love Season 2, but Season 2 is the only season that I have issues with. That would take a whole nother discussion. But yeah, the good thing about Castlevania Season 2 is the relationship between Alucard and Dracula. And Symphony of the Night hits most of those notes. It is the origin of those notes, and it's very good. I really hope Alucard is a major part of a lot more Castlevania titles moving forward, and I'm very interested to see what happens. So, thank you so much for watching. Anyone who might be lurking, anyone who might be watching the video when it goes up on YouTube, I greatly appreciate you, and I hope to see more of you. Please lend me your words. Tell me how you feel about the video, how you feel about Symphony of the Night, anything. I would love to hear from anyone and interact with you. Please have a wonderful day or night or whatever time it may be for you, and I will see you again in the future.